I'm 108 years old. Let that sink in for a minute. 108 birthdays. I've seen 2 world wars, watched a man walk on the moon, listened to presidents on the radio, and then seen kids watch cartoons on a phone they carry in their pocket. I've gone from horse and buggy roads to cars that drive themselves. Somewhere along the way, the world got louder, faster, and a whole lot more confused about food. My name is William Joseph Carter, but folks just call me Bill. And I'll tell you something that makes them young doctors real uncomfortable. Every doctor who ever told me, "You better stop eating this, Mr. Carter, it'll kill you," is in the ground. I'm still here. Now listen close before you twist my words. I'm not telling you to ignore your doctor. Don't you say, "Some old man on YouTube told me I don't need no checkups." That's foolishness. Go see your doctor. Take care of yourself. What I am telling you is this. A lot of what you hear about food these days is noise. Paid noise. Sponsored noise. They scare you with one hand and sell you something in a shiny package with the other. Low fat, keto, detox, superfood. Next year, it'll be a new word. New box, same confusion. But the truth? The truth is old. Older than me. Older than your granddaddy. It's the kind of truth that gets passed around kitchen tables and front porches, not from glossy magazines and 15-second ads. I've lived long enough to see them change their mind about almost everything. Butter was bad, now it's good. Eggs were poison, now they're perfect. Coffee was going to give you a heart attack, now they say it might save your brain. You know what never changed? What the earth gives you, and what your body quietly thanks you for. Now I'm going to tell you about 7 foods. Just 7. They're not fancy. They don't come with a celebrity on the box. No cartoon tiger. No influencer discount code. But I've been eating them my whole life. And I believe with every bone in this old body that they're a big reason I'm still here, talking to you at 108 years old. You do what you want with this. You can laugh, you can argue, or you can listen like you're sitting on the porch with your granddad. Ready? Let me pour my coffee and we'll start. First one. This is the one they love to argue about. Black coffee. Now, I can hear somebody already. Coffee? That can't be healthy. Son, I've been hearing that since Roosevelt was president. I've had a cup of strong black coffee every single morning since I was about 15. Back then, it was boiled in an old enamel pot on a wood stove. These days, my granddaughter makes it in something that looks like a spaceship. But it's still the same thing. Roasted beans and hot water. No sugar. No fake creamer that tastes like melted plastic. Just coffee. For years they told me, "Mr. Carter, your heart's going to jump right out of your chest." Meanwhile, they were drinking diet soda full of chemicals you can't even pronounce. Here's what I've learned, and what the smart folks are finally admitting. That coffee is full of what they call antioxidants. Those are little bodyguards that go around putting out tiny fires in your cells. Oxidative stress, inflammation, big words for the rust that builds up on a life lived long. Coffee helps scrub some of that rust. You ever notice how the smell of coffee hits you before the taste does? That's not an accident. That's your body perking up before you even sip it. It tells your brain, Wake up, soldier. Day's starting. Caffeine, that's the part they blame for everything. If you use it right, it's not your enemy. It sharpens your mind. It nudges your metabolism. For an old man like me, it's a gentle tap on the shoulder saying, we've got one more day to do. But the trick is this: keep it simple. Coffee is good. Sugar is what'll sneak up on you. Those flavored creamers with 20 ingredients? That ain't coffee. That's dessert hiding in a mug. So yeah, food number one, black coffee. The good Lord wouldn't have made it smell that good if he didn't expect us to enjoy a cup. Number two. Now we're going to talk about something poor folks have known forever, but the world forgot in a hurry. Beans. Black beans, kidney beans, navy beans, lentils. Those little things that come in sacks, not in shiny boxes. When I was a boy, we were poor. Not, I can't afford the new iPhone poor. I mean, if the crop fails, we don't eat poor. Beans were our lifeline. We ate beans with rice, beans with cornbread, beans with onions, beans with whatever we had. And I'll tell you a secret. The oldest people I ever knew growing up all had beans in their pot, most days of the week. Now the scientists got their fancy ways of saying the same thing my mama knew without a diploma. They say beans are full of fiber, the kind that feeds the good bugs in your gut and keeps everything moving like it should. You don't want traffic jams in your intestines, son. That's where sickness takes root. Protein? Beans got it. Not as much as a steak, but plenty to keep your muscles from shriveling up, especially when you're not eating much else. And they release their sugar slow and steady, so you don't get that up like a rocket, down like a rock feeling that all that white bread gives you. I didn't know the word magnesium until I was maybe 60 years old. Some doctor told me I should take a pill for it. I laughed and told him I'd been eating it my whole life in beans and greens. Here's what I remember. On bean days, folks worked hard and slept good. Now, somewhere along the way, companies started making food that costs a lot more and fills you a lot less. Fast food. Drive-through food. But if you go to the places in this world where people live the longest, little villages up in the hills by the sea, you'll find pots of beans bubbling on stoves. It's not glamorous. It won't make a good commercial, but it'll keep you alive. So write it down. Beans. Cheap, humble, powerful. The poor man's longevity food. Number 3. Eggs. Whole eggs. Yolk and all. Now this one makes me chuckle, because I lived through the great egg panic of the 1970s and 80s. One day, eggs were the perfect breakfast. Next day, they were little yellow landmines of cholesterol. Mr. Carter, you better throw out those yolks. Eat only the whites. I looked that young doctor square in the eye and said, Son, my mama lived to 96 eating eggs fried in bacon grease. Maybe we should ask her before we decide they're poison. Let me tell you something plain. That yolk is where the life is. That's the part with the choline. Your brain laps that stuff up. Helps your memory, helps your nerves. That's the part with lutein and zeaxanthin. Big names for the little helpers that guard your eyes, keep you seeing clear longer than they said you would. Vitamins? That yolk is a golden multivitamin. Wrapped up in fat, your body knows exactly what to do with. And yeah, cholesterol too. But here's the funny thing they found out after scaring half the world. The cholesterol you eat doesn't automatically turn into the cholesterol in your blood. Your body's smarter than that. It makes what it needs. You know what causes more trouble? Sugar, refined junk, constant snacking, no movement, stress that never lets up. I've eaten 2 eggs most mornings for as long as I can remember. Sometimes scrambled in butter, sometimes fried up in a cast iron skillet, sometimes boiled, sprinkled with a little salt, eaten right out of my hand. At 108, my mind's still clear enough to tell you this story. My vision's good enough to watch the birds out by the fence. My hands still steady enough to crack an egg without getting shell in the pan. You tell me if those yolks were my enemy. Number 4. We are going to the water now. Fatty fish, sardines, mackerel, salmon when we could afford it. Back in my day, sardines were poor man's food. Came in little tins packed in oil. Ate 'em on crackers when payday was too far away. Funny thing, now the rich folks call it a Mediterranean diet and pay good money for the same fish we were eating on the porch. Let me give you a picture. Your brain, that thing you're using to listen to me right now, it's made mostly of fat. Not the kind hanging over a belt. I'm talking about the good, structural kind. Omega-3s they call them. EPA and DHA. Those are like the oil in the gears. You don't put oil in the engine. It grinds itself to pieces. All these people scared of forgetting their own names when they get old. And I don't blame them. And they'll buy every pill on the shelf except the ones that smell like fish. But the answer's been sitting there in the sea the whole time. When we started keeping sardines in the pantry, I didn't know a thing about omega this and polyunsaturated that. All I knew was this. When we ate fish, we felt good. Bellies full, heads clear, sleep deep. Later, I learned fatty fish also calms down inflammation. That low, slow fire in your body that makes your joints ache, your heart work harder, your brain fuzz over. It helps your heart's rhythm. It helps your mood too. Hard to stay in the pit when your brain's got the oils it needs. Now, folks will scare you about mercury. And it's true. Some big fish got more of it. But those little guys, sardines, anchovies, they don't have the time in the ocean to soak up much. The trade-off, in my book, has been worth it. 2-3 times a week, some kind of oily fish has crossed my plate. Sometimes grilled, sometimes canned, sometimes smoked over a little fire in the backyard. I may forget where I left my hat, but I still remember my children's faces, my first dog's name, the smell of the first car I ever owned. I'm not saying fish did all that, but it sure didn't hurt. Number 5. Now this one makes people nervous. Especially the ones raised on protein shakes and skinless chicken breast. Red meat. Yep, I said it. Not the kind that comes wrapped around a paper cup through a drive-through window. Not processed mystery patties full of fillers. I'm talking about real meat from an animal that saw the sun. Beef from a cow that walked on grass. Lamb. A little bit of liver from time to time if you're brave. When I was growing up on a small farm, we didn't eat meat every day. We couldn't afford to. But when we did, oh, we respected that animal. We used everything. Sunday roast was a celebration. Bones became broth. Liver got onions. Nothing wasted. The world got so scared of fat that they forgot what meat actually gives you. Iron that your body understands. B12 that your nerves and blood beg for. Carnitine and creatine that keep your muscles from giving up on you, even when you're older than most trees in your neighborhood. You ever see an old man walk like he's carrying 2 sacks of rocks on his shoulders? Weak, hunched, shuffling? That's not just old age. That's muscles that have been starved of what they need for far too long. I've shoveled dirt, chopped wood, fixed roofs, and chased great-grandkids around the yard well into my 90s. You don't do that on sugar water and carrot sticks. Now, hear me. I'm not talking about eating a 20-ounce steak every night. Gluttony will kill you faster than any specific food. I'm talking about quality and respect. A few times a week, a portion of good red meat. Enough to feed your blood, feed your muscles, feed your spark. All these years, they blamed red meat for everything. Heart attacks, strokes, probably bad marriages too. But while they argued on TV, I watched something simple. The folks who ate real food, insane amounts, and moved their bodies, they lasted. The ones who ate fake food out of boxes, sat all day and tried to fix everything with pills, they struggled. So yes, put down my list. Red meat from an animal that ate what it was meant to eat. Respect the portion, respect the animal, and your body will likely respect you back. Number 6. This one's getting trendy now, but when I was young, we didn't have a fancy word for it. Fermented foods. We called them what they were. Sauerkraut, pickles, buttermilk, yogurt. Sourdough bread that started with a bubbly jar on the counter that smelled like gym socks and heaven at the same time. We didn't know anything about probiotics. If you told my mama that word, she'd have told you to mind your language. But she knew one thing. When we ate these foods, our bellies behaved. See, your gut is not just a tube where food goes in and you know the rest. It's a whole garden full of tiny critters. Some good, some bad, some just kind of lazy. You want the good ones to outnumber the troublemakers. Fermented foods are like reinforcements for the good guys. Sauerkraut. Real sauerkraut, not that dead stuff in cans, is cabbage that's been sitting with salt, bubbling away, growing a whole army of friendly bacteria. Same with real pickles brined in salt water, not just vinegar and sugar. Same with yogurt that's actually cultured, not just sugar sludge pretending to be healthy. Those little bacteria help you digest. They help you pull more nutrition out of the food you eat. They talk to your immune system. More of that's in your gut than anywhere else, and help it know when to fight and when to calm down. I learned this the hard way. In my 50s, after a rough patch working in a factory, eating more out of vending machines than from the stove, my stomach turned on me. Heartburn, bloating, the whole circus. Doctor gave me pills to shut off the acid. Helped for a minute, made other things worse. My wife, God rest her soul, went back to what her mama did. started a crock of cabbage on the counter, bought milk from a neighbor, and let it sit till it thickened and soured. Drink, she said. Eat. Couple months later, my gut quieted down. The garden had been replanted. Now, I have a little sauerkraut most days, a glass of buttermilk here and there, a spoonful of plain yogurt with some berries, which brings me to number 7, my little secret. If you can call something God painted this bright a secret. Dark berries and dark chocolate. I saved the sweetest for last. When I was a boy, we'd roam the back fields and fence lines, fingers stained purple from wild blackberries. Mama would make pies when she had sugar, but most days we'd just eat 'em by the handful. Later in life, my daughter brought home these little blueberries from the store, called them a superfood. I laughed and said, "We've been eating that superfood since before you were born, girl." Then there's dark chocolate. Not the milky stuff that melts in your pocket and rots your teeth. I mean real dark. 70% cocoa and up. Bitter enough to make a kid's face scrunch up. Now here's where the science folks and the old folks finally agree. Color is medicine. Those deep purples and blues in berries, they come from what they call anthocyanins. Fancy name, simple job. They protect the plant from sun and bugs and damage. When you eat them, they protect you too. Help your blood vessels stay flexible. Help your brain. Help calm down inflammation. Same with dark chocolate. The cocoa bean is full of flavonols, little helpers that tell your blood vessels, relax a bit, open up. Blood flow improves. Your heart is happier. Your brain gets more of what it needs. Dark chocolate even has stuff in it that talks to those spark plugs inside your cells, the mitochondria. Helps them stay lively, make energy. At 108, anything that gives your cells a gentle nudge is welcome. Every evening after my dinner, I do two things. I take a small handful of berries, fresh when they're cheap, frozen when they're not, and I eat them slow. Then I take a square of dark chocolate, let it melt on my tongue. I don't rush it. I let my brain register. This is good. Life is good. You'd be surprised how much damage comes from people eating too fast, never actually tasting anything, always thinking about the next thing. Food is not just fuel. It's a conversation with your body. Berries and dark chocolate, they're like a sweet, gentle whisper. Stay with me a little longer. So there you have it. 7 foods. Black coffee, beans, eggs, fatty fish, red meat from real animals, fermented foods, dark berries and dark chocolate. No powders, no shakes, no subscription box deliveries in a pretty package every month. Just food your great-grandparents would recognize. Now, if you stop listening right here, you'll miss the most important part, because I buried a lot of people who ate decent enough. But their hearts and their minds were sick long before their bodies gave out. The food is the fuel. It matters a lot, but it ain't the whole engine. You want to know how to live a long time and not just exist a long time? I'll tell you the rest of the truth. You need a reason to get up in the morning. When I was a young man, it was work. Fields to plow, barns to fix, mouths to feed. Later, it was my children, then my grandchildren. Now, some days, it's as simple as I want to see that sunrise one more time. I want to see if the tomatoes finally turned red. You need people to love, and people who love you back enough to tell you when you're acting a fool. You need to move your body. I don't mean you have to join a gym and throw iron plates around like you're trying to impress strangers. Walk, carry things, bend down and pick stuff up. Use the stairs, garden, hang your own laundry. Your muscles are like stubborn mules. If you don't make them work, they sit down and refuse to get back up. You need rest, real rest. You can't stay up all night staring at blue screens, fill your head with bad news, sleep 4 hours, and expect to live to 108 just because you ate beans and berries. You need laughter, the kind that makes your sides hurt. I've sat at hospital bedsides where the only thing keeping somebody from breaking was a stupid joke. Laughter shakes something loose inside you that nothing else can. Most of all, and you can take this or leave it, you need some kind of faith. I'm not here to preach a denomination at you. I'll just say this. I've buried my wife, my friends, 2 of my children. I've sat in the wreckage of storms and wars and losses you wouldn't believe. If all I had was what I could see, I would have quit a long time ago. But I believe there's a God watching, and I believe every extra sunrise is a little gift. So I thank Him, out loud, every morning, first thing, before my feet even hit the floor. Thank you. Let's see what we can do with this one. You eat real food. You drink clean water. You move your body. You forgive people, even the ones who don't deserve it, because the anger burns you more than it burns them. You stop trying to keep up with people who don't even know your middle name. You eat your beans and your eggs and your fish. You take your sauerkraut and your berries. You let that square of dark chocolate melt and you count it as a blessing, not a sin. And if the good Lord's willing, you just might stick around a while. Now, don't you go thinking you can copy my list and live exactly my life. It doesn't work like that. Genetics, luck, accidents, all of that plays a part. Some of the best people I ever knew left this world too early, and they did everything right. But here's what I know. Every year they told me to fear my coffee, my eggs, my meat. I kept living. Every year they rolled out a new miracle food in a pretty package. I stuck to what the dirt and the sea and the cows and the cocoa trees gave me. And here I am, 108, talking to a stranger through a box of wires and glass. And if the good Lord gives us both another day, maybe we'll talk again.